What if you knew there was no separation between anyone and anything on this planet? What would you choose? What would you choose if there was no judgment? If you had 10 seconds to live the rest of your life, what would you choose? What would you desire to tell your great-grandchildren about your life, this planet, and the future? What would it be like to be present on this planet in a radically different way? To see through the eyes and ears of those who are willing to choose it, with no judgment and no point of view. Would you be willing to choose it?
First of all, I see people without judgment. It's like I look at them and most of us, unfortunately, have spent our entire lives judging us rather harshly. You know, most of us start our day with a litany of judgment about what we're not doing right and what we're doing wrong and how we should have done this differently. And then we go and look in the mirror and start that with our bodies. And then we go and we're in this constant state of the wrongness of us and the judgment of us. Well, from my point of view, if we were to change that, if we were to change that one thing, our worlds would change. Our lives would change, and we'd actually become an invitation to a completely different reality. One where judgment wasn't the source of creation, but us actually being us, caring for ourselves and caring for each other, and creating a connection with each other, which would create a totally different possibility on the planet.
Each one of us are here on the planet at this time, when it's probably the time of greatest need that's been on this planet, because we know we have to change things. What if you knew that your job was to be the catalyst for changing everything on this planet that doesn't work? What if you knew that was your job? Somewhere you do, somewhere you've always known it, and somewhere you've always wished to be it, just haven't found a way to be able to accomplish that. But you will.
Because people go with you until a certain point, but that what else is possible? Can we keep going? I mean, okay, we've talked about this for 2 hours, this metaphysical expansion stuff. So what can we now create something?
Right.
So once you stop it, you said, what's next? Once you stop the destruction, then the construction and the creation, and seeing what else is possible.
Yeah.
You can choose differently. And Access takes it even further and says, come on, we can do it like this. Be courageous, take off that armor coat you're wearing, because we're no longer in the Middle Ages. Take all of that off and let's step out there, be really vulnerable, and really make some changes. Who knows? Maybe, the X-Men and the cartoon characters that we've so loved is really who we are, and all the other shit that we've been doing all these years is a lie.
Rolling now at 12:45, 51, 52, 53. You good? All right, we're rolling.
Okay. As sort of an outsider, Gary, I'm very interested about your journey. Can you tell me the series of moments that led to the creation of Access?
Yeah, my whole life. I grew up with my parents were kind people, and they were just, they did their best. They tried to do everything they could for me. My father's point of view was he had grown up during the Depression, and his father had left when he was a kid. And so he actually got a gun and went out and shot rabbits and traded them with the local grocer in order to get the other goods that was necessary for his mother to feed him and her other 5 children. And he supported his family when he was 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. And by that time, the other kids had grown up and gone away, so he didn't have to do it anymore. He was the youngest kid. And he took care of everybody. And that's what he thought his job was. So for him, it was about working all the time. And he worked like crazy. When I was 17, it's like he died when I was 17. He had had a heart attack 2 years before. During that 2 years, he had stopped working all the time and started doing things that were fun for him. And when I saw that, when I knew that he was dead, I realized that that last 2 years had been the reason he had changed his life, because he knew he was going to die. And I thought, you know what? It's really crazy to spend your life, you know, trying to take care of your family and stuff and doing nothing for you, because you could die tomorrow. And it's like, you know what? I don't want to live my life that way. I want to live my life to the fullest today, because I could be dead tomorrow. And that was part of what shaped my philosophy, my outlook on life. I began to realize that I had to look for what my point of view was that was different from other people's points of view. Not look how I fit, but recognize I didn't fit. I didn't do things normal. When I was a teenager, my dad invited me to go to the movies to see Roy Rogers and Randolph Scott in, you know, a doubleheader Western. And it's like, no, I want to go see Shakespeare. What? You want to go to, yeah, I want to go to the Old Globe Theater in San Diego, and I want to see Shakespeare. He thought it was insane that I would want to see Shakespeare. But men don't do that. I go, well, I'm going to go see Shakespeare. And it's like I would do the things that even though my father didn't approve of them, even though nobody approved of them, I'd go do what I knew I had to do. How did I know? I don't know. I don't have an answer for how I knew. I just knew that I had to do these things. And I was always willing to follow that knowing, because every time I did, it opened up some other part of my world. And I felt like I had more space to be me. When we were kids, my parents would give us birthday parties if we wanted, or we had another choice. We could go horseback riding. But if we went horseback riding, I had to take my little sister with me. And if she wanted to go horseback riding, she had to take me. So after a couple of parties of getting, you know, things like, you know, plastic PT boats and stuff, and having to put them together after the fact to prove that I actually was grateful for them, which I was not, it's like, I'm sorry, this doesn't work for me. So I took my PT boat, filled it full of gasoline, put it in a bucket of water, a little too close to the house, and then threw matches at it until it exploded into flame. I almost burned the garage down. But, you know, it's like you have these experiences and you learn from them. And I realized it's like I didn't want to live the way everybody else did. I knew that I didn't want to have my life full of plastic models and, you know, and ordinary things. I had to have something different. I had no idea what it was, but I knew I had to have something different. I had to be different to have everything that I wanted. And so I chose it. I went to every church I could find. I went to different cults and religions, hoping that I could find what I was seeking, which was this place in which I knew there had to be more in life. And if there wasn't more, why the heck be alive? You know? It's like, it's got to be more. So, you know, I got involved in sex, and I did a whole lot of sex, drugs, and rock and roll. It's like I always wanted to go into depth in anything, to the very depth. And finally I realized that wasn't working either, so then I decided marriage would be a good idea. So I got married and had kids and did all that, and that didn't work out very well either. But when you find what is really true, it's like, and you don't make yourself a victim to what everybody's told you you're a victim of, all of a sudden everything in your life can change.
Step right up here on the box.
Okay.
Okay?
Ready?
Yeah. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Okay,
Walk up.
Okay. No.
Walk up. Why? Whose point of view is that?
Tens of thousands? Tina?
Good. So everything you're doing to buy everybody else's point of view, or you're just trying to create all that?
Yes.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine, shorts, boys, meows. What Audrey's doing is hearing all of you think, oh God, I'm glad it's not me out there having to do this. And she's hearing all the people within 1,000 miles that are going, oh my God, I could never get on a horse. And she's hearing all the people, oh my God, it's so far up there. It's not that far up. You can be on the ground in about 30 seconds. Okay?
Yes.
You know, the problem with Audrey is she picks up everybody else's thoughts, feelings, and emotions for thousands of miles around.
She's a little psychic.
She's a little psychic. Okay. Climb aboard, darling. Walk up the stairs. Come over here.
Okay.
Pet the horse.
What brought me to Conscious Horse, Conscious Rider was the invitation to have more communion with horses. I had travelled a lot and heard a lot about Gary Douglas and what he could do with horses. And I've experienced it throughout my life, being around horses, but never comfortably and never at ease. It's like these beautiful creatures look at me and I go, wow, what can I have with them? And I'd really like to ride them. But for a long time I thought I was way too big, way too heavy for that. And my whole idea was I would be better off carrying them than they carry me. And to see people have such joy riding, I was like, yeah, I'd really like some of that. And the awareness that I could have a communion with a horse was like phenomenal.
Okay?
Yes.
All right, so now you feel calmer.
Yes.
Your body feels calmer.
Yes.
His body feels calmer.
Yes.
Everything should be easy now.
Yes.
Okay?
Okay.
All right, so climb aboard.
All right. So that.
Trust me, I know what I'm doing. I'll shove your, I'll slap you on the butt and get you over. Okay, good.
Okay.
All right, one more time.
You go.
Okay?
No,
Okay.
Gary.
Yes.
I can't.
Yeah.
This
Yes,
leg
you
doesn't
can.
bend very well.
It doesn't have to bend.
No.
Just have to slide it over. Put your weight on this leg. Put it in the stirrup,
I'm
put it on this
training
leg.
my whole body here.
I know.
Okay, body. No, Gary.
yes,
every
you
time
can
I
do
go
it.
to do that, it's
Okay, put your weight
nerve-wracking.
on there. You're fine. All right, now swing your body over. Okay, put your
Okay.
weight on your arms and
I
swing your
haven't
leg
let my
over.
toe in very much.
You don't need it in very much.
Oh, okay.
Okay, good. That's
okay,
it.
ready?
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
So, after that, I tried channeling, and I tried metaphysics, and I tried all kinds of different things. And actually, channeling is how I first came to Access, because I started channeling this information about the things that are called the bars that you do on the head, which are these 32 different points that are like the computer bank that store all the thoughts, feelings, emotions, considerations, and attitudes you've stored for many lifetime. And these bars, literally, they take care of your considerations about money and sex and, communication and time and space and healing and sadness and joy. And it's like, it was just startling to me. And I started doing this somewhere around 1990. In 1996, there was an article in the New York Times that talked about mapping the brain. And what they discovered is that if they put an electrode over the right side or the left side of the just over the eyes, that they could induce several hours of happiness or sadness. Sadness and joy are the two bars that we had been running for years at that point. We've been running these for years as a way of getting people to be able to integrate sadness and joy so they weren't just one or just the other. And they were inducing it by putting electrodes on those things. They showed some other places which also corresponded. Then I learned from an acupuncturist that some of the bars that we do correspond to acupuncture points on the body. And it's like it's been this thing of finding that a whole lot of what we do actually has existed in the body and has been used in different ways by different modalities forever. So what we're doing is slightly different, but it's getting a different result. So I only shared it with a few people, like real close friends, thinking that, that way I wouldn't have to expose myself as being the weirdo that I am. Good news is I finally looked up the definition of weird in the dictionary. And in a dictionary prior to 1946, weird means a fate, spirit, or destiny. I went, wait a minute, you mean it's not strange? No. It's a fate, spirit, or destiny. So the fact that people were calling me weird, I went, oh, okay, so this is my fate, this is my destiny, this is where I'm supposed to go. And I started to be willing to be different. And having always recognized from the time I was 8 years old that my point of view was different than anybody else's, I began to realize that I had to trust the difference, because that that difference didn't ensue with judgment.
I'm sorry, dude. I'm rolling.
No,
Yeah.
no.
What am I doing?
Just sitting there.
Oh, shit.
Breathe. Okay, good.
Okay, well, I'm not very,
Well, that's because you're trying to get up off the horse instead of sitting on him. If he was an easy chair, how would you sit on it?
well, I don't have arms.
Well, he does have arms, so you
And
just
he's
have it a
leaning
long
to
way
the
down.
left.
Well, he's trying to balance how much you're putting on the left side.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so now I'm going to move
Don't
you.
move. No, please don't move. Please don't move. Please don't move. I'm not on it yet.
You're
I'm
on.
not on the horse yet.
You're on the horse.
Doesn't feel like it.
You're on the horse.
Doesn't feel like it.
You're on the horse.
Oh, Gary.
Trust me, you're on the horse.
Oh, Gary.
Relax.
Have some.
Well,
Is
the
there
first
anything
time I went to step on a horse in Conscious Horse, Conscious Rider was just one of the most terrifying experiences for me. 'Cause all this fear and panic came up in my universe, and I was like, wow, my body started palpitating and I started sweating, and I was like, what am I doing here? This is insane. It's like, what next? Like, surely I can back away. Let me back away. And so it was really not an easy experience and very, very intense.
Is there anything to hang on to?
No?
Oh, fuck. I'm sorry.
Hey, when you have sex, is there anything to hang on to?
Oh, yeah, the bed.
So you're having sex with a bed, not your husband?
He kept asking me questions, and thankfully I was able to hear him. I couldn't see anybody else in the ring, and even though there were people present. So it was really an interesting physical and emotional state experience. It was like, wow. So yeah, so it wasn't the easiest thing to do, that he was willing to stay there with me and not make that trauma significant. It's like each time I'd go into a panic, he'd go, okay, all right, is that yours? Okay, would you like to let it go? Are you ready to move forward? Yeah, give me a minute. And thankfully he allowed me to do that. In other experiences around horses, people have been, hurry up, you've got to do this, and I would just not do it at all. But his was the invitation to get on, even though, and that the crazy experience was normal for having had the fear that I had. It was a relief. Because I don't know how many times I've thought myself crazy because I'd go near a horse and go into panic and be like, but these are gentle creatures and I'm terrified. This is insane. So it was an insane moment that I'm thankful for being here with.
Take your arms and put them out like this.
Okay, I'm rocking.
No, that's because you're trying to pull your legs up.
Okay.
What if you were sitting on the horse?
Okay.
There, you're on the horse.
Okay.
That
Don't
looks
move.
okay.
All right.
Okay. Now take your hands and let them fall. Let your elbows fall against your body.
I'm so sorry. I know this is probably really bad.
No, it's really good.
Who said it was bad? Okay. Now, here I'm going to put your foot down a little bit.
No, I can't see you.
You can see me. Turn your head.
Oh,
Okay, good. Now, push down on your heel.
on my heel. Why?
Yeah, because I want more of your leg on the horse. Let go.
Like I what?
Let go of holding your leg stiff.
Fuck.
Relax your leg.
It is.
Let your heel go down. Okay, there. That's better.
Oh, he moved again.
Yeah? Did he move or did you move?
Oh, Susie, don't move it. No.
She's not doing
Susie,
it.
he's moving. Oh. Okay. I'm so sorry, Gary.
Why?
Oh God, now that everybody's looking at me. Okay.
Look
sorry.
back at him. Look at him with daggers.
No, I'll follow. No.
There you go. Look weird at him.
And they told me that I would never work again or walk again without pain. And I'm sitting on a horse. Like I'm on the back of a horse. And for years I thought of myself overweight and a problem to society. And so I could never do something like a horse, right? Because you have to get on a plane and they have to give you a seatbelt extension. All of a sudden I'm on this amazing being who I now know after 4 days is okay carrying my weight and is actually happy doing it. And I'm on the back of him riding. I mean, I was floating. That's pretty darn good.
So you got to get clear. The horse has no desire to get rid of you. He has the desire to take care of you. Look, the only reason mankind has gotten to where he is today is because the horses took care of us for so long. It's the only way we got across continents. It's the only place that we got from one place to another. It's the only way we got mail delivered. For thousands of years, the horse was everything to us. Willing to be carried? No, you've never trusted anybody in your whole life, have you? No. So everything you've done to never trust anybody, just because your mother dropped you on your head when you were a baby, does not mean you cannot trust anybody. Just can't trust your mother.
It was after I'd ridden and I was just standing by myself. Gary walked up and I said to him, I said, Gary, I said, I feel as though I'm not as close to people anymore. And he said, well, that's right. He said, for having had OCD all these years, he said, you've been thinking that you have to live your life for everybody else. With all the awarenesses that you have, that ability, you've turned it into having to do it through other people. He said, but being on a horse and the communion that a horse will give you, it'll always ask you to be you, no matter what. And he said, being in that space, you'll get to receive you. And I said, this is me? He went, yeah. And he said, there's nothing wrong with that. Well, I haven't ever experienced that before. He goes, that's right. He said, and that's what being in communion with a horse can do. Because they'll never ask you to be anybody else or to think like anybody else or do anything else other than be you. And oh my goodness. Oh, I was like, wow, that has been something that I didn't even know what it was. And so to actually have to ask him, like, what's happening to me? You know, I'm really light here and I'm okay. And he goes, yeah. It was just one of the most brilliant experiences of my life.
Some of you guys up there, who's got a good back? Who has not got a bad back? Okay, come on down here. Okay, so we're gonna get 3 guys here with you.
3 bloody huge men.
3 bloody huge guys are gonna control your body for you.
Okay.
If you fall off, you can fall on one of them.
Okay.
If you squash them, you have to have sex with them that night.
So these are some of the experiences I've had that shape my way of always questioning everything and always looking to what else is possible, what else is there, how do I find what's real and true for me? And having done all these different things I've done, I now look at everything from a question. So not is this real, but okay, so what is this? What do I do with this? Can I change it? And if so, how do I change it? Those are the 4 operative questions I use every day in my life.
Okay? You're gonna cry now? Okay, good. Start crying. Cry harder. Cry harder. Is this your point of view?
No.
Okay, is the horse crying? No, he's going to sleep. Easiest gig I've had in months. Yeah, that other guy was lighter, but he was damn obnoxious. He kept making me do things.
I'm so crazy.
No. Well, just a little.
It's easier to ride when you cry, Aubrey, by the way.
Because if you don't believe me,
See where you're going.
go out sometime. You can't see where you're going while you're crying, so it's fine. Okay, good. That soft eye to things, you know. It's like everything becomes kind of fuzzy. Okay?
I just want to hug onto his neck. That's
Nope.
all.
You just put your hands up. Put them on your legs. Just put your hands on your legs, right there. Okay?
There you go.
Well,
All right. Hold Rick's hand and hold Dane's hand. Okay? Hold their hands.
No.
There are your reins.
Now I'm not
Come
holding
on.
my legs. Okay.
Come on, baby. Breathe. Breathe.
Okay.
Breathe.
I adore you.
I adore you too. That's still not going to get you off the horse.
Jane,
Yes,
I adore you.
I adore you too.
That's still not going to get you off the horse.
Get you off the horse.
Okay. Well,
thank you guys. I adore you and Mark.
That's not going to get you off the horse either. I have to feel your body relaxed.
Well, am I stopping that?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're pumping on adrenaline as fast as you can so that you can be afraid.
Oh, Gary, well...
So what would be happening if you just went, Okay, now your body's starting to relax. Okay, let's bring the stairs back over. Okay, now you're through. Feel like you're gonna pass out? Feel lightheaded? Yeah, that's because you've been not breathing for so long, you're almost ready to pass out. You know, it helps a lot if you breathe while you're on the horse, for all of you, just in case, okay? All right, there you go. Now you're gonna just move your foot out onto the step. All right, put your hands here and here. Okay, hands here and here. Okay, and swing your leg over and put your weight on your foot. Good. So put your weight, you gotta swing your leg over. Okay. There you go. All right, that's it, girl.
Oh, thank you, horse.
Okay. There we go.
Sir, it's all right. That's all I did.
Yeah?
That's all right.
Sweetheart, come
Well,
on
did I require you to do more?
I'm not sure my size. Oh, thanks.
Okay, so when I first met Audrey, she couldn't go up and down steps. So this is major for her to do this, big time, okay? So it's very cool. Thank you, Audrey. Yay! The intermediate one. Yeah.
Okay, and I got to tell you, when I first started doing this work, okay, you guys know how I started doing the body work that I do. No. Gary came into my office and said, go straight to level 3 of this work that I was doing that only had 3 levels. Well, I only had people in level 1 and level 2 in my practice, and nobody was going to be getting to level 3 for a hell of a long time. He said, my body doesn't respond to 1 and 2, go straight to level 3, and I'm like, I just started studying that. He's like, he's fucking lying. He said, don't worry about it. Just follow the energy and do what my body tells you. I didn't know what that was, but I'll tell you, something broke free in me. Then I went, okay, finally, somebody's given me permission to let down the barriers and let it all fucking show up and let it all go. Right? That's what he gave me, was permission to be me. He gave me permission to be instead of try to do a technique, because I suck at those techniques. Okay? Now, I've never been able to talk about this to people because I've tried. And they would say, hey, what are you doing here? And I'd say, well, here's the deal. You feel this energy? Well, it's sort of like their entire universe is flipped backwards on itself, spun like this, and there's about 360 other dimensions out there that they're connected to, and their body right now is like this as a result of it, and they'd go, what are you doing? You know? And that's okay, okay? So please know as we do this thing, if you don't feel like you're getting a fucking thing, no problem. It's all right. Things are changing in your universe to open you up to a different level of perception. And if you have a willingness or a desire to learn, this is for you. And it's about you, okay? It's about you taking something you already know or already perceive or don't yet already know or perceive and opening up to something new that may be totally different than anything you ever thought.
Chris, you good?
Stay like that. There you go.
Young man.
Rolling.
Okay, let's start off with the work that you do.
Yes.
What do you do? What happens to someone's body?
That is a great question. Well, with the work that I do, it's called the energetic synthesis of being. What does that mean? Well, it's basically where you, the being, and your body, and everything that surrounds you can come into a greater connection. So in other words, you'll see most people walking around out there they don't really have much comfort in their bodies. They don't tend to have much ease, and they don't tend to have much joy with them. what I do with this work is give them a connection to their body. And also at the same time, it's like most people have been, what's the word, preserving. They've been trying to preserve this sliver of being that they knew they were when they were a kid that didn't seem to be acknowledged here, or that they were judged for or made wrong for. And they keep that separate from the rest of the world. Well, what happens with this energetic synthesis of being, and I'm not quite sure how I do it, I just know that it seems to happen. It's like this sliver of being that they've been holding on to gets sort of nurtured and cared for energetically, and it's like they realize, wait a minute, maybe I don't have to hide this from the world anymore. Maybe I don't have to separate from the world. Maybe if I let this out and let it become part of my reality, maybe I won't be destroyed. Maybe it won't be destroyed. And maybe rather than spending my entire life trying to preserve me, maybe I can bring it to the forefront and start living now.
David, is there anything in particular you'd like to work on? Okay. There's a lot of ways of looking at at what's going on with them, okay? This is all energy. You have a body sitting in front of you, but it is the culmination of the energies of his life. It's the culmination of the choices he's made, but it's also the lies that he's bought. And the fixed points of view he's functioning from, and his family's functioning from, and the people in his life are functioning from. It's a function of the things he's trying to heal in people. Okay? It's all kinds of stuff. It's not just, oh yeah, my body hurts.
And
okay, so
somehow, in doing this work, it literally is us being us. When we truly be whatever we can be, whatever that is that each of us has this gift of being, it literally can change the people around us, can give them the possibility of having that door open for them also. And what I found is each of us has something that we're aware of, some unique awareness or aspect to us that we have that's available, yet nobody ever asks us to bring that out. What we're always taught to do is fit in here, fit in with your family, fit in school, fit in work, fit in college, fit in and fit and fit and fit, until we die, never having expressed that beautiful thing that is uniquely us. And what I've seen with people is every person has this amazing greatness to them. And when they're willing to open that door to that being a reality, what happens is it's like for some people I've literally seen where that never existed before on the planet, before this person opens the door, and then all of a sudden there it is. And then other people can have access to it.
What's going on here right now? Here's what I do. When I perceive something, I go, okay. Well, what I do is I actually perceive it so intently that I vibrate just like it. And then I go, okay, well, what would I have to do or be or change or perceive differently to be able to change this? Okay? And as I ask that question, it's starting to sort of go like this. Now, am I doing it? Am I making it happen? Well, I'm being the energy and the space as I'm following the energy. So I'm being the energy and following it at the same time.
What energy you're being?
The energy that's required to change this. Now I'm giving a graphic representation with my hands of what's happening here. I wouldn't normally do this with my hands. This is the point where you see me standing across the room staring at the person. Okay? This is part of what's going on in my head. Now here's the thing, it's not just, for his case right now, it's mostly right here. It's mostly right in this area, right in this space around his body. But I'm also out there, where I told you to go, looking at it too, to see if there's anything else, anywhere else that I could look at from a different perspective, that by looking from that different perspective might allow it to change and shift. Okay, now here, I've got this energy, it's here, it's like, yeah, you move me, you move me, you move me, and now I'm going, okay, what the hell is it going to take to change this thing? And this is the point at which I'd go, okay, and then I sort of go back to the same place and go, well, okay, so some of it's still there, not all of it. Something has changed. Okay, so now what this thing is, this flick thing that you've seen Gary do and you see me do. Gary does it differently than I do. He gathers energies with his hands and then changes it. I get an awareness of it throughout all time, space, dimensions, and realities and change it. It's a different way of being. Okay, but with this particular thing, by changing the one part of it, now there's another aspect of it here. And all I'm doing is like sort of following it. But I'm letting it, I'm willing to be that's an awareness that's greater than the energy that's there right now. Okay? I'm willing to look and go, you know what? There are greater possibilities available. Would you like those? And his body's going, can we, David? Can we, David? Can we, David? And David's going, fuck no. Okay, maybe. Oh, all right, fine, let it go. That quick.
You know, and some of the greatest creations in history have been created from what if. JFK talking about the space program and going to the moon. And Bobby Kennedy going, hey, you know what? What if? What else might be possible? Martin Luther King, what else might be possible? That's where they functioned, and they changed reality. Well, you know what? What if that was our operative state too? And absolutely, because that's what kids do. They go, what if? What else? What if? What else? And their functional point of view is functioning from question. And I don't know if you've noticed, but they seem to have a lot more fun than we stupid adults. You know? What if we actually could begin to have the joy that kids have, even while living their lives, you know, that where we had, you know, made money and created lives and, you know, had our houses and our cars and our jobs and all that sort of stuff. What if we still did it from a place of joy? What if?
Did you notice anything happening? You can say no.
My stomach was heavy. It did get lighter.
Cool. Okay, so yes?
I do resist. I felt more open.
Cool. Awesome. Okay, so for however many minutes of work we did, he said his stomach was heavy and got lighter. And he said, yes, I do resist, and I felt more open. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
I was with my daughter. She still had 10 weeks to go with her pregnancy. I was with her in a remote farm while her husband was working, and she said, Daddy, I don't feel well. I said, I'll make you a cup of tea. She said, no, Daddy, I don't feel well. We got her husband, took her to hospital. They opened her up in hospital. 6 litres of blood fell out. The tiniest little baby, black and dead, was taken out and revived and put in an emergency ambulance and taken 100 miles to hospital with the father. I stayed with my daughter while she recovered from the shock. 2 days later, I went to see this tiny, tiny baby. The baby was that size. She was that big. She was in convulsions. They said, we have to turn the machines off. So we said, fine, can we keep the machines going for a little while until my daughter can hold her? Yes. I did, because Gary and Dane had suggested, I did exit stage left. I took the child's fingers, and you've got to remember, the child's hands were that big.
Premature little...
She was premature. She had died 3 times. So I said to her, and this is what Dane actually suggested, take from my body anything you desire and require. You don't have to stay. You can go if you want to. It's your choice. I'm saying this on a 2-day-old baby. The convulsions in her, and I had the hardest thing was not to be vested in the outcome. I said, I love you, I would love it if you would stay. But it's your choice, you're free. So she first the brain convulsions stopped. Then she began to breathe on her own. Then she began to thrive on her own. And she became viable without machines. I was there when she was brought home from the hospital. She by now had grown to she was just under 3 pounds at the time. She was now all of 8 pounds. No, sorry, little less, 5 pounds. She got to 5 pounds. She was a tiny baby. And I then went to her first birthday, which was in January of this year, where she is a robust and terribly aware. And I use the word terribly because you look at this 1-year-old child and she looks back at you with 35-year-old eyes and smiles, an adult smile. And we run bars. She loves having her power band and third eye run. She loves it. And she loves to cuddle in my arms and sing. She can only handle one note at the moment. But she goes, la, and I go, la. And of course it tickles her. And that's how we sing. And if nothing else, that's what Access has done for Mishka, my granddaughter. I take a 3-pound baby into my hands and say, you don't have to stay here, you can go. And that baby knows. That baby knows she has choice and makes the choice and immediately starts to connect all the bits and pieces in her barely formed body. It's fucking ridiculous. But it happened.
Yeah.
We made it so.
Yeah.
We made it so because we chose.
Yeah.
And I've seen it with others. And I see it with others. And I want more of it. I want more and more and more. I choose more. I choose more. I create more. I create more.
So now what? So now what's possible? So now this choice is clearer, that you can either, with everything that comes up, with someone that bangs into you on the bus, you can either go toward a made-up universe or you can expand. And it can just be in the moment. And this 10 seconds, I've seen it work already. I've seen people perceive different choices. I've gone into restaurants with people and, the waitress goes to take the person behind us because we're chatting. And my response to the waitress, which is, oh, I'm sorry, honey. We were chatting, I know. Do you want us to wait, or are you going to say that? Oh, no, I'm sorry. And having people, black people with me say, that's so amazing, because the feathers on my neck went up. And I was about to say, why aren't you going to take us first? Because we're black. And so they acknowledged the different choice. So that that perceived, because when I say that, I was always thinking about what people were thinking about me. That's part of the racism thing.
Both sides.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And because I've had the privilege, the ability to be on both sides, I get it. I get it. Yeah. And so, and it's a lie.
Is that clearly it's a collective automatic thing, right?
Oh yeah.
Is it then an individual recalibration thing?
It's the point is, it doesn't matter. That's what the point is. It doesn't matter what it is. The point is that it separates me from me.
Gotcha.
And that's the message I want to, you know what I mean? It takes you out of your power.
Got it.
So to answer your question, yes, it's an individual. Yes, it's a collective. Could be a conspiracy. It's convenient. All of that is true.
Yeah.
And so what?
Yeah.
The point is,
it's not community.
Exactly, and that's what I love about Access. It's not about why. It's about that it happens. So if you want to go back and look at the why over a cup of tea when it no longer has that electrical charge, be my guest.
Yeah.
But let's just stop it first. You know what I mean? That's what I love about
What would it take to be the catalyst of change? What would it take to live as the question instead of the answer? To be the possibility instead of the judgment. Would you be willing to be the radical change this world requires? And what if you knew that the energy of joy and tenderness and kindness could change everything around you? Could you choose it? Would you be willing?
You know, science has shown that if you look at a molecule, you actually change the structure by looking at it. So if we have the ability to look at something and change it, why don't we have the ability to change everything?
Absolutely.
Why are we not doing that?
Why are we not doing it? Why are we not demanding it of ourselves that we actually step into those abilities?
Exactly.
You know, that we actually be it. There's a lady who had come and done Access, and we talk about these things in classes, you know, the possibilities that could be available to us. And she, on her property, she had this little lake. They had this thing where the tractor had somehow rolled over something, and so they had diesel fuel in it. And she did this, and her husband was, you know, one of these people who was sort of like, didn't believe any of this energy stuff existed or did anything, and yet he came to her and went, oh my God, can you do some of that weird stuff and change this, because otherwise we polluted our entire pond here.
It was the water source.
Yeah, it was their water source.
It was their water source, yeah.
And she actually did this and got together with him and some other people and did this thing of change, and literally no diesel pollution in their water supply. They had it tested weeks and weeks in a row, and there was no pollution. They changed it somehow.
Isn't that amazing?
Isn't it amazing?
But
and
it's like, what if we had the ability to do that everywhere, all the time?
Yeah.
And it's like, why are we not using that?
And why are we not considering it valuable? Because we're too busy being entertained?
No, we're too busy looking for the entertainment outside of us, rather than being entertained by what we're capable of.
Yeah, you know, it's like we function from this impelled need of separating from each other all the time, and judgment, and this anger, rage, fury, and hate so much of the time, rather than possibilities, rather than gentleness and caring and kindness.
And yet
but the earth
is gentle, kind, and caring.
Yeah, the earth itself, the very energy of this planet.
Well, I mean, if you consider what we've done to it, it must be very forgiving, because it's like, you know what, all it really needs to do is shake real hard and a whole lot of us would leave.
Exactly.
Not that wouldn't be a good idea, but...
I'm with you, you know, but it's there caring for us continuously. You know, what's interesting is, like, if you go out in nature, you can receive the energy that's there, and it's a gift, and it nurtures your body and creates a gentleness in your head.
That's what people don't get. You know, it's like when years ago, I did, you know, different churches and cults and stuff, and they always talked about you as an infinite being could perceive, know, and be. And I kept thinking there was something missing.
Right.
And I finally realized that it's receiving. And it's like we cut off so much of that receiving in order to maintain the separation between other people. And in so doing, we cut off what we can receive from the earth and from the sun and from the wind and everything else.
Well, and if you look at it, I mean, you know, what I've seen is I've looked at people as they grow up, and most people, what they have around them is not much kindness, not much gentleness, not a huge amount of caring, but a huge amount of judgment. And you look at that and you realize, well, it would make sense that if that's all you saw, Why would you not want to cut
So that's your
off?
primary source of receiving is judgment.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's what people believe is their primary source of receiving.
Is judgment. And that's the reason they think judgment is real.
Right.
When judgment is just somebody else's point of view, it's not actually a reality.
Right.
But they take that judgment and try to make it a reality to believe that they are as bad as they are told they are. You know.
And imagine you start that way and then you carry it with you for the rest of your life.
And then you perpetrate it on your children. And,
Yep. As though that's the way to be a good parent. You know, parents here believe their job is to teach children to judge.
Well, I think they also teach, you know, it's like what I noticed is that most of my friends wanted their kids to fit in.
Yeah.
So you had to spend your entire life figuring out how to be judged correctly or how not to be judged. So one thing that thrills me about doing what we do is, you know what, I see people choosing different possibilities rather than the rightness and wrongness of them every day. And as they do, they are getting better, they're getting happier, and the people around them are as well.
Absolutely.
Well, it's interesting because one of the things that stimulated that was looking at one of these charts where they were showing when you yell at a plant, it withers and dies, and they showed how like certain number of hours of meanness to the plant diminishes it, and if you play nice music or you laugh or you do things that are joyful around it, all of a sudden the plant's flourishing and producing 3 times the leaves it was and stuff.
Right.
And yet we spend the majority of our life being unhappy, miserable, and we don't think that impacts the earth. Yeah, it's like, I'm sorry.
6.5 billion unhappy people.
Yeah. For people, happiness is an illusion.
Yeah.
It's a manic moment in a stream of insanity.
Yeah.
What if what we're supposed to be is happy all the time, joyful? If we did that, and that's one of the reasons the mantra of Access, all of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. All of life, the good, the bad, and the ugly, comes with ease, which is, no effort. Joy, which is about the ability to actually be at peace with what's occurring. And glory, which means exuberant expression and abundance. And it's like, if you don't get that that's the way your life can be, you end up creating your life from the sense of the pain around you, the discord, the disharmony, the ugliness that the rest of the world somehow thinks is more real.
But also you have to let people know it's possible. They've got it. It's one thing for them to see a possibility and try to create it and not be able to. The thing I'm so grateful for about Access is it's the tools to actually create it, not this idea that I should be able to, but I can't now.
Yeah.
See it actually be a reality, not a disconnect from reality. Because I know so many people that are out there in the world like this, I'm happy. And you're like, are you really happy, or are you just so disconnected from everything you've decided is unhappy that you're functioning from that? This is an actual happiness, it's a sense of peace and joy.
Yeah, the greatest gift that I got out of doing this is the recognition that a question empowers, an answer disempowers. Because once you do an answer, you can't move forward beyond your answer. The only thing you've got is the answer.
Right.
And it's like, and a question opens the door to all the things that are possible. And functioning from being the question instead of being the answer. And it's like, and people all the time are saying to me, well, can't you give me an answer? No, but I can give you a question. Because somewhere what's right for you.
Yeah.
But the thing is that when you get the answer that's true for you, it does set you free. It does give you a way to function in your life in a different place.
The one that works for you, not necessarily for anybody else.
No, and it's like the thing is, what is true for you is what's true for you, not for the entirety of the world. And what we have been taught is that if you get the right answer and you find the right place and you live the right way, then everything's going to work. And yet a whole lot of us have spent our lives like trying desperately to fit in, trying desperately to live like other people, trying desperately to know what's right.
What if it weren't about trying anymore? What if it were actually, I'd like to be able to create a change and actually be able to create it?
You have the people who are fearless, the people who have no fear. And they will do anything wild, crazy, that kind of stuff. And then you have the people who have the courage to be different. Courage is really about being different. And then there are the people who don't have the willingness to be the leaders of their own life. It's like when you get the courage and the willingness to lead yourself in your own life, you create a whole different world for yourself and everybody around you.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
You know, my hope is that everybody in the world has the tools of access, uses the tools of access, becomes what access is, and they don't have to know my name. It's not about revering me or anything I've done. It's about recognizing the value of them. And that's the only thing I want anybody to get. Have you seen the value of you today? Who are you today? Who can you be tomorrow? And what would you like to create as a reality for you and everybody around you?
And you being you is truly the change the world requires.
That's also the greatest gift, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. You being you.
You being you.
Is the greatest gift you can give the world.
Right.
Cool.
How does it get any better than that?
Does it?